On this week's episode of a remote episode of The Grid, we're going to be talking about investing in yourself and how important it is to invest in your photography, but in a different way than you think. And we'll be joined by four of our coaching members going to join us. And Scott will not be here on this episode. He's off gallivanting around while I'm gallivanting around remotely. And it all starts in just a few seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Well, hey everybody. That was kind of clunky there, but it was definitely done on the fly. As you can see, I'm remote. I'm out of the studio. I'm over at the Fun Airshow over in Lakeland, Florida. It's going on for the next few days. Actually, the next 4 days. Been going on for two days before this, and doing some photojournalism as well as some event coverage over here. But we're just coming off of our VIP and Inner Circle Summit. So we have a summit that we do every year where we bring our members who are in our coaching program. So we have the regular membership that we talk about, where you subscribe into the membership, watching classes, part of the community, all that good stuff that we have over there. But then we have people that want to go beyond that. They want to dig in and go beyond that and invest at that next level to have things like private small groups, one-on-one sessions. And then one of the things that we do is invite everybody into our studio in Oldsmar, Tampa, Florida. And they'll come down, we'll spend a weekend together and doing a bunch of different stuff just to kind of like grow in our photography. The basic thing that we're doing is networking, meeting each other, being able to experience kind of life together, photography together. Then we'll put together these shoots and really get to experience a bunch of different types of shoots, which you'll get to see, what we did with that. And then we also just have fun, just having fun together, because that's part of photography, is having fun. It can be a very lonely and isolating thing as a photographer, and it's nice to not have that be a lonely and isolating thing. So we're going to get to talk to four different members today, see what they've done, and I'm just really impressed by the work that they've produced. We go and we set up these shoots, and we kind of talked them through what we set up, but it's always amazing to see not only how well they're able to create images, but how everybody's shooting almost the same thing. And this happens on my workshops as well, where everybody's shooting the same thing, but walks away with totally different images. That just blows my mind all the time. So we'll get to that in just a second. But before we get there, I do need to talk about, we do have prizes this week. So we were going to have prizes on the show. We're doing this a little different, as we've done in the past. In the past, we'd have you leave your comment. We still would love you to leave us a comment, tell us where you're from, all that good stuff. Any questions that you'd have, ask in the chat. But to enter the contest, all you got to do is go to the website. You go to kel.by/grid prize. On there, you'll have a form. Fill out your information. That way we don't have to ask you afterwards for your address and all that good stuff. You fill out your information and then tell us what you'd like to win. And this week we've got, 5 prizes that we're giving away. We've got a Platypod grip that we'll be giving away on the show today. I was just using this the other day. It's a way to attach your phone to your tripod or to your Platypod. And it also has a little articulating kind of bracket there, so you can kind of move it around in any position you want. Great device for adding a grip for your phone. And then also a copy of Scott's How Do I Do That in Lightroom book. So if you want to know all these anything about how to do certain things in Lightroom, you can find that over on Amazon, but somebody's going to win it today on the show. And then my book, the night photography book, we're going to be giving away. That's also available over on Amazon as well. But somebody's going to win that on the show today. And then the Adobe Photoshop Lightroom Classic book. Now, this is the huge one. This is kind of like you want to know everything about Lightroom Classic, go get this book. You can get that over on Amazon as well. And then finally, a copy of On One No Noise AI. I was having to use that last night. I was out shooting a night air show, and we're shooting a lot of times at 12,800 ISO to get the exposure, 25,600 ISO. And on one no noise wipes that noise right out. So somebody's going to win that as well. So, all right. So enough hearing from me, because that's the thing, is I can tell you all about the summit all I want, but I'd love to hear from four of our members. So first up, we have Ken. So Ken's going to be joining us. So Ken, you there?
Hi, Erik.
Hey, how's it going? Great to see you. It hasn't been a while, but it's great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you in what, 4 days now?
Yeah, 4 days. It hasn't been that
4
long.
days.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So first off, I met Ken and on Scott's workshop, right? We were in Tokyo, right?
In Tokyo
So
last year.
yeah. So last year in Tokyo. Um, from there, I've just seen your photography grow and grow and grow. I think what's interesting about it is I was always thinking, one of the things that's interesting about Ken is, and I have to ratchet out, you are like a shooter, right?
Yeah.
What I love about Ken, though, is he is not identified by the camera he shoots. A lot of people identify, and I talk about this all the time, where like, oh, I shoot this, I shoot that. And I think what's great about Ken is that most people that I see shooting certain cameras, like us, that's their identity. And what I love about Ken is that he just embraces, this is the cameras that I use. And you work within the limitations that you have, but I think sometimes those limitations make you a better photographer. I've seen you work, and it makes you a better photographer. So maybe tell us a little bit about your backstory, about how you came into the coaching program, how you got there. Obviously you went on the workshop, but how did you get to where you are today, where you're coming to the summit this last weekend?
Okay, so first of all, when I first met Scott many years ago at Macworld, when he was doing a Photoshop demonstration, right? And I thought that guy was just so funny. So I started following him, and then got his first digital photography book, and then I kind of got hooked. And eventually, I became a member of KelbyOne several years ago, and started getting more and more into photography. But the biggest change of event was I retired early last year, and really decided to focus on photography, right? So I joined the coaching program and decided to go to a workshop with you guys in Tokyo in May last year. And I also attended the recent Vietnam workshop, just happened last month. And during the course of, I don't know, getting educated by photography in a lot of different things, watching many programs on KelbyOne, I started really learning, just what it will take to become really good photographers, right? And I started taking this almost like as my full-time job. I just I just retired, but now I'm busier than ever, because I'm like constantly shooting and editing, unless I'm playing pickleball or something. And I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I really appreciate the quality program that you guys provide us with.
Well, and one of the things that's interesting about what you're saying there, I've noticed with you, and this is something we've talked about, and that's one of the things that we really get into with coaching, is you need to define your style. And I think what I've noticed from you, and really, I would say everybody that's really in our coaching program, because we stress this, is you've really developed a style. And how has that helped your photography?
Well, so that was one of the things that I really wanted to work on when I actually went to Tokyo with you guys. And I had no idea what my style would be, right? I was shooting nature photography, urban photography, street photography, all kinds of different things. But I really don't know what even my style could become. But I think one day, when I had dinner with you, Eric and Scott, we talked about, what the style could be. And Eric, you identified some of the things I've been doing almost like an unconsciously. And
Mhm.
but you pointed out this could be your things. Maybe you should start a little bit paying more attention to, that style.
Mhm.
And once I realized that, I started shooting more and more photos in a particular style. And then since then, within a year, I can definitely feel that my photography has improved so much. Not only because I started, identifying the style, but also, I guess, I pay a lot more attention to what I create. I used to shoot whatever, in front of me,
Mhm.
but now I'm a lot more deliberate. What I do with my camera and the subjects in front of me.
Oh yeah, and I definitely see that. I see that in your work. I've seen that since that moment where I've seen you be able to really lean in. And I think the key there was you were subconsciously doing it, like you said. You were
Mhm.
subconsciously kind of like you, but you at the same time were not seeing it, right? That you were
Right.
you were shooting all this stuff, but you weren't seeing that there's that like this common thread of what I do. And then once you start seeing it, you can really lean into it. And I
Right.
find that interesting. So then that leads us to the summit. So we've got the summit this weekend. You come to the summit. How was your experience?
So the summit was incredibly enjoyable to begin with. There are 100 plus photographers, like-minded people. I met like a handful of them through the previous workshops, but most of them I didn't even know. But we have definitely a common language, photography, and as soon as we meet new people and we just kind of getting to know each other quite well through the language of photography. So that was incredibly, I don't know, easy for me because I'm an introvert and I'm very difficult to meet with like new people in general. But I didn't feel uncomfortable at all at the summit. And also, you guys provided us with a lot of different shooting opportunities, including, okay, now you're showing maybe the model shoot that I did. I don't really shoot like model, but
Mm-hmm.
um, it was but it kind of stretched me to do something with photography. Okay, what can I do with this scene? Um, and and it was a blast, and I had a lot of interesting images that I came back with, and then I showed them to my friends, and they were like, you don't shoot like this before, but you had a lot of different
Yeah.
experience there. Yeah,
Yeah, like that image is up there right now. I remember if you go back one, Jason, um, I remember we were both shooting next to each other. And what was interesting is we were both getting almost the same shot because we saw this curtain kind of start, framing the scene. Um,
yeah.
so, and then it was just that interesting thing that, getting to interact with other photographers say, well, what are you shooting? What are you shooting? And then we're looking at the back of our cameras and going, we're basically shooting the same thing. So there must be something that we're both seeing. So it's just nice to have that validation, to have that camaraderie. Let me ask you, Ken, what was your favorite part? What was the favorite part of the summit?
Well, so obviously hanging out with friends and meeting new people that was incredible. Um, but there are a couple of things that stuck with me in after the summit. And one is you know at the dinner reception, Scott, Eric, you guys had like a presentation. Scott talked us about, investing in yourself, not in your gear. You have pretty much everything you need. So,
Mhm.
invest yourself, travel or go to places that, you have never been to, and like, find interesting subjects and, take, photos of those subjects instead of like, sticking around in the same place and doing mundane things. So, uh, that was a really good advice. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to buy new gear, but like investing in yourself and that like buying new gear are not mutually exclusive. But I get the point. Unless you make an effort to present yourself in front of like a subject like worthwhile for like a great photography, you need to really invest in yourself. And another thing is, Eric, you showed us like your behind the scene effort of your latest Artemis rocket launch photos. And oh my God, the effort you're going to put in was just mind blowing, incredible. And, that made me think, oh my God, I'm still like, just um, touching, doing a tiny bit of like, effort compared to your effort to get great photographs. Um, I need to push myself a lot more, plan better, work harder, and that really inspired me. So yeah, I really appreciate both like Scott and Eric. You had an amazing presentation to us. So
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, and I'm glad that message carried through, because that's really why we did that is, for you guys and for everybody though, as a photographer, knowing that you do need to invest into yourself. It isn't just about like, yeah, we all love the gear. I love the gear. I've got the gear. It's all that. But I also know that that gear is just a tool to my photography. I need to put myself in front of more interesting subjects if I want better pictures. Or in those cases, like we were talking about there, is I need to put in the effort in order to get those shots, because at the end of the day, and I think that was kind of my sum up of my talk, was your pictures have to stand on their own. Your pictures aren't going to be something where you're going to be there to explain everything in the frame. That's why the frame needs to speak the story. And that's a hard thing that I have in photojournalism is my picture has to say the story of what my editor is trying to write or what the writer is trying to write. And that's a hard thing as a photographer. But once you master that, it's a gift that you can really start communicating through your photography. So that's really cool. Was there one shoot that stuck out for you?
I like the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because like I've been seeing your studio settings here and there, but I actually really like the model shoot that I don't shoot models, but this the football player, right?
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to shoot this particular subject, especially the one that maybe you were showing this, Jason is showing this, like a
Yep.
tender moment of the footballer. He's a very big, like a strong guy, but I wanted to do something different with the subject, right? So I was really waiting for a particular moment that you see here, that the soft side of this, like, gigantic guy. And I really enjoyed that. And then it came out okay. So,
Well, I think maybe, and then maybe reframing your thinking there of while you maybe don't primarily photograph portraits in the studio, obviously you have the skills to shoot portraits in the studio. We can all see it in your work. So you've done a great job. So definitely congratulations on that. I love your images. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to see where you go from here. That's all of us. That's why I love love getting more, being able to have that like one-on-one interaction with you guys, because it really I can see your guys' growth. and that's amazing. So, but anyways, we do need to take a break. I appreciate you coming on, Ken. When we come back, we're going to be talking to another member here. We're going to be talking to Karen. So when we come back on the break, we'll be talking to Karen, and then see you guys here back in just a couple minutes. And thanks, Ken, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Come join us at KelbyOneLive.com and build your photography skills online. Training is our expertise. Each of you deserves to master Adobe Lightroom. Learn from the best in the business with over 20 sessions. We are dedicated to making you proficient in Adobe Lightroom. Get a competitive advantage and access the digital library for a full year. It's time to join us.
Hi, this is Hilmar Smith. Light doesn't have to be boring, and light doesn't have to be soft. I'm gonna teach you how to introduce hard light and hard shadows into your photography stories. I'm gonna teach you how you can introduce color, how you can play and make really the best out of your set with all of my favorite tricks and with all of my favorite gear. So if you really want to level up your lighting, come and join me in my newest class at KelbyOne.com.
Hello, my name is John Dukes, and I want to invite you to watch my KelbyOne class, Blue Hour Mastery, how to create dynamic cityscape photography. You're going to create photos that are going to impress everyone you show. People are going to get that wow effect. We're going to learn how to scout the location, what blue hour is, all the different levels of twilight that you could shoot your photo in, camera settings. We're going to talk about gear. We're going to talk about how to take that photo from being a snapshot to a gorgeous cityscape image that you're going to want to hang up on your wall. So come join me at KelbyOne.com. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Hey guys, Frank Dorhoff here. Welcome in our studio in the Netherlands and welcome to a new class on KelbyOne. Do you ever wonder, like, how can we get more creative with our photography? Are you a little bit afraid when you look at those websites and you can see all those props and they are pretty expensive and you don't know what to buy? Why not start with the stuff that you already have? Why not get some, let's say, emergency blankets, or maybe get a torch? If the light is too bright or too large, use a little bit of piece of cardboard. You will find out that in this class, you will look at your photography equipment in a totally different way. There are no more excuses. I don't have expensive gear. I don't have expensive backdrops. After this class, you will make the best of even an emergency blanket. Join me on this new class on KelbyOne to create great images with cheap materials that you can find in and around your house. And you probably already have a load of them that I'm going to show you in this class. See you online.
Back, and we're talking to some of our VIP and Inner Circle members about their experience at our summit this last weekend. And we got another guest joining us. So we got Karen joining us. So hey, Karen, how you doing?
Hi, Erik. Long time no
there
see.
you are. I know it's been a few days, but yeah, it's great to see you again. I always love seeing all you guys, and I'll tell you, just like Ken, I've got this experience. I think what's really interesting with your work is I've really seen it taken off when you got into the Inner Circle program and we started doing those assignments, and you really just owned every one of those assignments. I think you're like a reigning champion right now for the number of inner circle assignment victories. So every month we have these assignments in the inner circle where we assign a project. Scott and I know that there's certain techniques, certain styles of photography that once we started to master, it doesn't matter what we're shooting. We can take that. For example, I think our first one was panning, right? And being able to pan with your camera and pan with action. People think, oh, I'm not a sports photographer, or, oh, I'm not a wildlife photographer. But there's so many things that you can do once you understand the idea of slow shutter panning. And I remember you had never done it before, and then you just like, boom, you just knocked it out of the park with your first one, right?
I was shocked.
Well, you were shocked, but it was beautiful. I'll tell you, you
Thank
did
you.
all the things right and all that. So, but yeah, so maybe tell us a little bit about your journey to get into the coaching programs.
Well, I'll say that these programs have totally changed my photography. I knew I wanted to become a better photographer, but I really didn't know how to do it. And so I would say that joining these programs actually gave me the direction I needed because, and you guys with the VIP, you started out letting us know some important things we needed to do, like portfolio and how to enter contests and things like that. And that was so helpful, getting off on the right foot. And then the next program, the VIP with these challenges, I think that's where, like you said, where I really started to change because I worked really hard, like you said, and I got this from you guys where you have to put in the work. And so with each challenge, I would do at least 3 different things of the same challenge. So by the time I actually did the one that I was going to submit, I felt like I knew really how to do it. And so that really helped me. And this gave me that direction that I needed to improve my photography because each challenge, I learned something else to put in my toolbox and it just kept building and building. And now I can say when I do go out to take pictures, I just have to think about, okay, which one of these tool sets do I want to pull out? And with that much practice, and sometimes the next assignment may even include a little bit of the other assignment. So you can put them together and I don't know. I like to shoot a lot of different things and I have never really found my thing yet. I'm still looking for that, but I think that's okay because I think as I go along, because I'm still growing, that I will eventually land on whatever that is. Because each one of these challenges, I say to myself, oh, I'm going to be a food photographer. Oh, I'm going to be a portrait photographer because I feel so good that I am able to do it. And at my first summit, my whole thing was if I could just get a photo in focus, that would be a win for me because I didn't know how to do these other things to make a photo. All I knew is if the eyes were sharp, that's a good photo. And now I know that I need everything to be sharp, the exposure to be good, and I need a little something else sauce in there to make a good photo. So I'm talking.
Yeah, very cool. No, that's great. That's awesome.
I'm really excited about this program and what it's done for me. It's really ignited me because I am so excited about my photography because I feel like I can do it. I'm not just wanting to get the eyes in focus. I'm wanting to create a great photo.
Oh, but look at that image we're looking at right now. This is a masterpiece. Jason, I am looking at a picture of Jason. I mean, come on. Like, that's perfect. But no, seriously. Yeah, I think I really love to see your journey, and it definitely has come out. You spoke to one of the things that we really preach on there, and I know I preach on a lot, is having tools in your tool chest. When you have tools in your tool chest, it doesn't matter what you're shooting, when you're able to pull those things out and go, ooh, this scene would call for this, or this assignment would call for that. When you can pull those things out, that's what really helps you more than, I don't know, again, what gear you have. It's really just knowing how to use your tools than it is what exact tool you have, right?
Right. And it doesn't matter which camera you have. If you have the tools, you can do it. Because we see so many people with all different kinds of cameras creating all these amazing shots in this program. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
amazing photographers. It's unreal. But for people out there thinking about joining any of these programs, just know that I was a person just trying to get eyes in focus, or just trying to get a focus
Well,
and
and
knowing not much else.
and it's incredible for me to think of that because, again, since I've known you, like especially the last couple years, I mean, your photography, all your guys' photography that are on here, just phenomenal. And to think that you were at that point just a few years ago, and now you are where you're today, like that's why we designed this, because what we found was there was a lot of people that they wanted to take that big leap. They didn't know how to take that big leap. But
That's
we were like,
exactly
well,
it.
what did it for us? And what
Hmm.
did it for me a lot of times was mentors. It was people in my life that were, and I still have them in my head when I'm shooting. When I'm shooting, I have my mentors in my head. And, some of them, like I've got Jay Mazel that gets in my head all the time. It's usually swearing. He's usually swearing in my head. But, he's telling me, like, what's your subject? What's the story here? Like usually expletives within that. But, that's what it is. You got to have somebody helping you along the way and mentoring you along the way, or you struggle for 10 or 15 years until you kind of like break through. And we
Right.
don't want people to struggle. I don't want people to struggle. So let me ask you, with the summit, like, what was your favorite part of the summit?
You know, obviously, it's the friends. I mean, I
Yeah.
came to the summit and I already knew a lot of people that have become lifelong friends, people that I talk to regularly on the phone or text with on a daily basis, people that I've gone on trips with. So, as far as the photography friends, that's another big change in my life that has enhanced my life, is having these photography friends. Then you come to this summit, and now I've got more friends because, and I'll say that I was observing that the people at the summit, they're so kind. I mean, if you're a new person and you came, people were welcoming you in to the group, and and I tried to do this myself. If I noticed somebody maybe looking a little lost or maybe feeling like they didn't know what they're going to do for breakfast or whatever, I say, "Hey, come and go with us." And that's the culture of this thing. Everybody is so welcoming of everyone, and
Mhm.
so having the old friends and making the new friends. And like Ken said, another favorite part of mine of the summit was the inspirational talk. I mean, I loved all the photography that was provided, but the inspirational talk, I thought we had three amazing pros talking to us, and basically in three different ways saying the same thing, is that it's not about the gear. It's about, how to create a photo, the work that goes into getting a photo. Um, you know, how do you go about doing it? Investing in yourself and investing money and putting yourself in front of good things. I also, like Ken, I took that away, thinking, I need to go back and do that. So that
Yeah.
was for me a standout for the summit as well.
Awesome. Awesome. What was your favorite shoot? Did you have any that stood out where I was like, I really like this, or something I didn't do before that I was like, I didn't even know I liked that?
Well, I never
Mm.
shot pictures of cars before, so I thought that was interesting and something different for me. I mean, I have been working on portraiture. I did love the studio stuff too, and I've been working on my own on still life and stuff. So I like that you had a variety, of things for us to do, and it was amazing. It was like you guys really upped your game again. It's like every time we go, it's like, okay, this was great. And then next time, oh, this was better. And then this one was like, you guys really outdid yourself. It was amazing. I loved it.
Well, awesome. Well, all right. Well, I just got the notification that we have to take another break. So,
Okay.
Karen, I loved hearing your stories. I loved seeing your images. Can't wait to see more. Uh, but on the next after the next break, we'll be coming back. We'll be talking to Will, and we'll talk to Will about his experience with the summit as well. So, thanks, Karen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric.
And
Thanks for
yeah,
inviting me on.
we'll see you in our other sessions here in a little bit.
Yep. Thank
All
you.
righty. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Jeff Leinbach. I just finished recording my latest class, A Practical Guide to Picking the Right Lens. I'm here with a bunch of lenses, and we have a great class for you. We talk about different varieties of lenses, different types of lenses, some lens features that you may not have heard of. We even talk about specific lenses for specific uses in photography. For example, if you're a landscape photographer, what are the best lenses to use? If you are an architectural photographer, what are the lenses that I want to make sure that I'm looking at? Those are the things that we're going to talk about in this class. I also have a handful of quick tips that might help you take care of your gear and make your gear function better as we go along. So I encourage you to join me at KelbyOne.com.
Come join us at KelbyOneLive.com and build your photography skills online. Training is our expertise. Each of you deserves to master Adobe Lightroom. Learn from the best in the business with over 20 sessions. We are dedicated to making you proficient in Adobe Lightroom. Get a competitive advantage and access the digital library for a full year. It's time to join us.
Well, hey, everybody. We are back, and we're going to be talking to another VIP Inner Circle member. We've got Will joining us. So, hey, Will, you out there?
Hey, Kuna, how you doing, man?
Hey, good. Good to see you. Good to see you again just a few days later. So, back in our normal everyday lives, right? And getting back into the routine. But yeah, so same thing as, we've been talking about with Ken and Karen, just kind of sharing your story as well. So, the one thing, again, I always like to talk about it's great. I love this because I get to know you guys at a different level than just like an email or the other thing with, and again, we love all our members, but it's different than when you're emailing or you see a profile with a little avatar or a comment box or all that stuff when we're able to interact. And I think what's great is Will is one of those guys that I've seen you go from like 0 to 100. You were like brand new to it, and then you jumped in and you went and you went in like the deep end, right? You went in like the deep end, because the first time I met you was at Joe McNally's workshop that we did together with him, and you went to like the extreme. You went deep into it. So tell us about like your journey in.
Sure, yeah. So I picked up my camera about 2.5 years ago, and immediately, like, I bought it that morning. A used deal, took it straight to my kid's soccer game, watching little 8-year-olds run the field, and started kind of getting into sports. I knew that there was more to the scene that was in front of me that I was seeing, and I couldn't grab with an iPhone. That we, as parents, we were missing out. And this was our kids' childhood. The expression. You get little micro moments when they're close to you from the sidelines, but you miss all of that detail. And I knew there was a better way of capturing that. And I've had an interest in photography for a while, but never took the leap. So picked up a camera, took it out there, and spent the next year just deep diving into anything that I could find, searching YouTube nonstop, looking for digital mentors. And I ran across 2 personalities that really clicked, and I felt like were craftsmen of the industry. And that's what I wanted to learn from. And those 2 were Scott KELBY and Joe McNally. So after that year of just searching and then finding their talks online and devouring everything that I could find publicly from those 2, the timing was just right, and Joe was doing his complete photographer course, and I decided, okay, well, I'm a voracious self learner. done everything that I can do. I know I need to be pushed. I know that, old school photographers, the guys who had come before, had editors that would chew them up and spit them out and make them better photographers. And we're kind of in an age with social media and just being able to push your photos out without that editorial layer. To friends and family who are just going to gaslight you into thinking you're the greatest thing ever because they haven't seen anything better.
Yeah.
And it's not a negative thing. Like, it is what it is. Like,
it's the reality.
picture.
It's the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my kid. I've never seen my kid like this. You're an amazing photographer. Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. Then you go and you start looking at other people's work and you're like, okay, how do I do that? How do I do that? I know there's more here. There's more meat on the bone. I just got to figure out how to get to it. So I jumped in to the deep end and got yelled at by Joe for a week, and it was fantastic. Now I've got Joe in my head when I'm shooting, and oh my gosh, the stuff that comes out. Even imaginary Joe says the wildest and craziest things. So yeah, that's kind of where I started. I've kind of stuck to sports as a primary genre, but I use the analogy. It's kind of like music. Like, if you were to hear of a musician who knows how to play one song and that song very well, one style of song, one song, you wouldn't consider them a musician no matter how well they can play that one song, right? They need to, you need to be able to talk to them and figure out, okay, what's your history? What influences are you using here? What in the music, the art of music is built layer after layer after layer, generation after generation of all these influences and these different styles that mix together and people take and borrow and steal from to make something new. And photography is no different. But we do find ourselves kind of pigeonholed into a specific genre. I found out and I figured out how to shoot this really well, so that's the kind of photographer I am. Well, that doesn't necessarily make you a complete photographer. So I was hungry for that. I wanted to know the craft. How do I get better at this so that I can play the style of song that I want to play? I can create the kind of art that I want to create, and not by happenstance or by luck. I don't want to just be there and have one lucky frame out of the 700 I blasted away at. I want to be able to consistently analyze a scene and find a way to take a story out of that scene and give somebody a perspective that they've never seen before. So that's kind of the journey. That's what got me to following Scott and Joe and you and KelbyOne. And the biggest, aside from the live stuff, this is now my second live event at the summit, and we'll get to talking about the summit, I'm sure. But aside from these two live events, it's the blind critique episodes of The Grid that have been the biggest impact for me. I have watched every single one ever published, and sometimes multiple times, going back through, trying to develop my eye through listening to you guys analyze and pick apart a photo. What was their likely intent? What were they trying to pull off? What could have been done? Those things are huge, because when we look at our photos and it's just a flat thing, we've got all this in our head about what the circumstances were. And you gave a great talk talking about nobody cares about that. Like, you got to put in the work, right? The photo's got to stand alone. The story, like your backstory on the effort that you had to go through to get those photos, just to be in place so that you could get the photos, not to get the photos, just to be ready for the moment, to capture that moment, was incredible. But people only care about that effort if the photo turns out well. So you've got to do the first thing first. The photo has to stand on its own. It was a fantastic talk and a great topic. And I was hungry for that. So that's a little bit of my backstory and how I got to joining VIP and asking you and Scott to beat me up every time I submit images for critique.
I can tell you though, your images don't need a lot of beating up, but I love when we can beat them up, because I like it when people beat up my images. Like, I have those mentors in my head, and Joe's another one that's always in my head. Joe's definitely one that when I think I haven't I'm struggling, I'm like, I haven't struggled enough, because I always think back of, like, I have it so much easier than my mentors had it, especially with film and different things that they had to deal with. It's so much easier. So I tend to like take that and go, I can't complain. It is hard to do what we do, but it's not as hard as it used to be. So I got to like really like embrace that. So I love that. So tell us a little bit about like, so you came to the summit. What was your favorite part about the summit? I know you talked about the talks and all that, but what was your favorite part about the summit?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, the community. So this art of ours can be a lonely pursuit.
Yeah.
Your point about the photo stand alone applies here. Your friends and family are going to appreciate. They might appreciate all the time and effort and expense that goes into the craft, but they might not have the patience to hang along with you on the journey. So having a curated group of like-minded photographers it's rare. If we didn't have if we had only the conversation and networking that happened at the summit, it'd be worth it. Hands down, bringing this group of people together who have all got skin in the game. We're all into a VIP coaching type of membership. We're paying not just for our money, but also our time and our energy and our effort to be here and to further ourselves in this craft. Like that's such a rare thing, to be in a group of people that are all along the same journey, whether they're at different points along that journey, but all moving in the same direction. So having that community carved out, curated in such a lonely field is it's amazing. So that by itself would have been worth it. But what you guys did with the shooting opportunities, letting us kind of work the craft, was huge. And then the shoots themselves, the shooting opportunities were fantastic. There were so many things that I've never shot before. Like I've never done flower photography, or I haven't really done much automotive. So having the chance to jump in and experiment with that. So looking at this, okay, the work is done, right? The hard work of getting up early, setting up the lighting or setting up the models, all of that has been kind of taken care of for us. So we get to walk up, analyze the scene, work on settings, and try to push our limits as far as, okay, do I try to overexpose this? Do I underexpose? Do I go for detail? Do I go for something wide? Do I look at what the rest of the group is doing and we're all going to come away with a similar shot? How can I tell a different angle of the same story whenever we're all comparing photos later? So having the ability to where all of that is offloaded from your brain, you don't have to go through the work that KelbyOne has done to set this up for us, allowing you to come up and just practice the art. It was phenomenal. It was a true gift. So the community and then the photo opportunities, obviously the best parts of it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, let me ask you with that, was there a shoot that stuck out for you? I know we were seeing some behind the scenes stuff that finally they got up, but was there a shoot that kind of stuck out?
Yeah. I've been wanting to do the painting shots on a raceway. The closest I've gotten, and this is such a cop out, right? And this goes back to putting in the work, right? If you want to do painting shots of cars, there are roads everywhere. You can park and find a road somewhere and do painting shots of cars. Now, you might get visited by the police. They may ask you what you're doing. You might have somebody not wanting their picture taken as they're going by on the highway, but there is no excuse. If you want to get those learn that craft and practice that skill, there are opportunities everywhere. This knucklehead went to a go-kart track indoors in tight proximity with the widest lens I could get, and I'm trying to pan like this to practice. So, and I did pull a couple of them off. So it was kind of like hyper focused, high intensity, training for that. And it was fun. I've just been wanting to do that full speed on an actual racetrack. And so this was kind of one of those check boxes of like, man, I've been really been wanting to try this, and to see how difficult it was, and to be able to just bump into Kuna. Hey, Kuna, what are your settings here? What do we need to be looking at? That was fantastic. So that really stands out as a highlight.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Will, I appreciate your insight. I love seeing your images there. Everybody, all you guys, I'm blown away. Like we were talking about, I'm always blown away about we could be shooting the same scene. But the other thing that I think was so interesting about what you were saying is, yes, we do put in the effort to produce stuff, but then that's what we were talking about. That's the effort that you have to go through. That's the investment part that is the important part. It's more important to hire the model, get the location, put in the effort with the makeup artist, put in the effort, than it is, again, that lens that you think, oh, well, I got a 2.8, I need a 2.0. That's what's going to do it. It's like, stick with the 2.8, get the makeup artist, get the model, get the lighting. That'll be better than all you think that 2.0 1.2 versus 2.0, like those things are not going to matter as much. So I think that's what's cool when you're able to do that. And like you said, walk up and then work the scene, work the craft, all that good stuff. So, well, I appreciate you coming on, Will, and love having you on. So thanks for doing that. And I love seeing your images. So, but we're taking a break, final break here. And when we come back, we've got Dodie joining us. So we'll have Dodie back here in just a couple minutes.
This is Photoshop Secrets for Speed and Style. Deadlines are looming and you have to work smart and fast. I'm going to show you some of the best Photoshop features to optimize your workflow so you can make Photoshop work better for you and you can actually hit your deadlines with time to spare for some of the creative work. We're talking about custom smart objects. We're talking about actions, custom brushes, and you can actually hit your deadlines with time to spare for some of the creative work. Only here at KelbyOne.com.
Come join us at KelbyOneLive.com and build your photography skills online. Training is our expertise. Each of you deserves to master Adobe Lightroom. Learn from the best in the business with over 20 sessions. We are dedicated to making you proficient in Adobe Lightroom. Get a competitive advantage and access the digital library for a full year. It's time to join us.
All right, we're back in our final segment here, and we got Dodie joining us. So, hey, Dodie, how's it going?
Hello, it's going well. It's going well. I think
Awesome.
I'm still recuperating from the weekend, but otherwise it's good.
I'm sure it was a fast and furious weekend, that's for sure.
It
But yeah,
was.
so and you know, I've loved all these years seeing your photography grow as well. I think what's so interesting about your photography is you're one you won't give up on something. You will see it through. I've had you texting me or calling me, like I know when you're doing like Milky Way stuff and you're just like not giving up on it, where most people would just give up. They would just go, I can't figure it out. I'm not going to do it. You'll stick through it. You'll persevere. And that's really honestly the biggest thing with photography is having patience, but then also having that ability to persevere and see yourself through. So I've always loved that about your work and how you've got there. And the other thing that I think is very interesting is you kind of remind me of like a budding or a younger like Karen Hutton, where you're caring more about like the feeling behind the photo, the emotion behind the photo, which I think is again a bigger part of photography. So I'd love to see your work grow. So tell us a little bit about your journey though of how you got here. So
I've always kind of had a camera, but I never really knew how to create. And I'd say about 10 years ago, maybe actually even longer than that, about 12, 14 years ago, I got my first digital camera. And I joined a photography club at a botanical garden. And because I really wanted to try to learn about focus, learn about bokehs, just everything about the camera. And so I joined the club and I did well. I had one of my pieces in a gallery and that was exciting. And that made me want to create. I craved more and more. Then I decided I was going to go do portrait. I do all right with portrait with good models, but
yeah.
it just wasn't, I didn't feel it. And so I kind of moved out of it and went back to the floral and nature. And then I started diving into more abstract nature. And then from there to landscape, where for me, kind of like Karen Hutton, I like that cinematic alchemy that she talks about so much, where like when I went to Moab, or actually Monument Valley, I'll give Monument Valley as an example. And that's one thing I've got from KelbyOne is a sense of adventure. I've been taking all the classes and going to the places where I take these classes. And it's just been so exciting because I'm taking notes and then like, oh, I want to go where they shot that. And it's so much fun. But I've tried to hone in on, I go from the macro to the full view. So I want in my photos to tell the story of what I see in the grandeur, but yet then what is this piece over here and this piece over here? And then I go all the way down to the macro or the floral in that one scene. So it tells the full story of that place. And that's what I
Mhm.
really started getting into. And it's just really exciting because being a part of KelbyOne has really kind of opened my eyes to, to seeing and feeling my photography. And like I keep telling you and you and Scott, I would not be where I am today in my journey if it wasn't for KelbyOne. I mean,
Well,
you
that's
guys,
awesome.
you have just helped
Thanks.
me in so many ways. And I just really, and even, when I travel and I'm on a plane, guess what? I get to watch a video of KelbyOne because I can download everything with my membership. And it's
Cool.
fabulous. So I feel like I'm always learning and creating. And it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Cool. Awesome. Well, then let me kind of segue that into this kind of the same thing. And so you come to the summit. What was kind of your favorite highlight of the summit? What was something that you really took away from it?
It's always, I mean, the community is amazing. And
Hmm.
I think Ken was saying is you meet other photographers that are doing the same thing you're doing. But what's really exciting is you have a group of us taking a photo of one person, but all of our pictures are different. They're all
Yeah.
different. We all see something different. And as much as I don't really do people photography, I had a lot of fun with all the models and the ballerina. Oh my gosh, she was amazing. But what I really was intrigued, and you'll see in some of my photos, the lighting. I love the way the lighting was, and that just drew me in. I think I took more photos of the ballerina and then the model that was in red than I did of anything else. I mean, I took a lot of photos, but those I was just so fascinated with the colors and the lighting that was, and it
Hmm.
kind of shows me
Hmm.
the behind the scenes on how do you create this work of art? Where are those lights? And that's the one thing I pull is just it's not just the model, it's the whole production.
Yes, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you and I know others have talked about this on this because um, that's what photography is about.
Hmm.
You talked about the main thing. Main thing with photography is light, right?
Yep.
That's the whole thing. As photography, the word means drawing or painting with light. Like that's the Latin of it. Um, because that's really honestly what it is. The photography is about light.
Mm.
So it's cool to see, and that's why we pick certain places that we win, or we win at certain times. Like for example, the car shoot where we're going in the morning, we're setting up the car at a certain angle where it's getting twilight black backlit from the
Yep.
side. So everything is done in the right way, right? So I think that's really cool that translates to everybody. That everybody was able to see that because I've seen that's a common theme there. Let me ask you, of the shoots that you did, it sounded like the ballerina shoot was kind of like your highlight, but is that your highlight?
The whole summit's my highlight. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I just, and
But
the
if you had to
funny
pick
thing
one,
oh, I think the ballerina. I
yeah,
really
it sounded
do.
like it. It sounded like.
I
But
really
continue. I
do.
mean, why, like, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Why you say one? But what is kind of your overall feeling about it?
it's kind of funny because, the first photo shoot that we did on Saturday, after the cars, when we went back to the KelbyOne studios, there was a flower in there. I didn't shoot any of the flower.
Wow,
And I'm a
that's
floral
interesting.
photographer. I didn't, I do still life at home, but I just, I wanted to dive in because I don't do portrait photography and models as often because that's just not my genre, that I wanted to dive into that more. And then like the football player, I didn't do a lot of him fully. I like to hone in on the details, and I think that's from my macro side. So like the
Hmm.
picture that I have of him, is him holding. It's the veins in his arm. It's the glove. It's the helmet. It's the tattoos on his arm. It's this full different feel for the picture. And it's like that masculine side of the photo, but yet it's kind of a macro, kind of in my way, a macro instead of shooting the whole person. But I really enjoyed the models. All of them were just fantastic. So
Awesome. Well, that's amazing. Love to hear it.
yeah,
Love to get your feedback. I love seeing your work. I love seeing all you guys' work. This is just incredible, and I
thank you.
appreciate you all coming on and sharing that. I know that this can be a little bit intimidating to come on here and talk to everybody in the membership and online about this, but I love this because I love bragging about you guys. Like you guys are incredible, and I love seeing what you guys are doing, and I love hearing from you and seeing all the different stuff, and it's just amazing. I mean, to the point of like even before the launch, even before some of our members came early and they were there for the launch.
Yep.
And we were just texting back and forth and talking about the launch, and it was really cool. So I love this whole thing that we're doing. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Dodie?
Well, feeding off of what you just said, one of the things that I love is if we're doing something exciting, we can tell you about it, and you and Scott are like, you become friends, and you enjoy the experiences with us as much as we enjoy it. And it just makes it nice because I know some of the people that went to the launch, and Karen, weren't you? I think Karen was there as well. And it was just having that experience. And I'm telling you, we brag about you and Scott too. You brag about us, but we brag. My husband's like, has he put up any more photos of his launches? Because I mean, y'all are amazing, and I feel so honored to be able to be a part of your journeys, and that's exciting.
Well, it's the same. It's the same, and that's where
Yeah.
I really appreciate y'all coming on, and Dodie. So thanks to you, thanks to everybody who came on today. I really appreciate that, and yeah, this is just amazing. Love this. Anything else closing that we want to talk about? Anybody else have anything to add to the conversation? Feel free to jump in if you got anything to add or close us out with. If not, I'll give away the prizes, which I'll need the prizes. But feel free
got
to
one thing.
jump in. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, there's one thing that I noticed, and this is different from online coaching, which nobody does it like KelbyOne, right? This is why we're all here. This is why you're watching the grid right now. The online content is phenomenal. But when you have an opportunity to get to a live environment, there are little micro details and questions you get to ask that aren't available to you whenever you're watching even the best, most curated content. Scott was adjusting the lighting on our football player scene and then in studio, and bringing the lights forward, looking for a very particular shot. And I got a chance to say, "Hey, Scott, what are you looking at right now? What is your eye focused on?" As you had Mr. Dobson bringing the lights forward, telling him, "Oh, that's too far. Nope, not just enough. No, move it back a little bit." Because that's the type of stuff we tend to cut out and we don't see. It's that behind the scene detail. So if you get a chance to come to any live event put on by KelbyOne, please do it. You're going to get more and be able to glean more just from watching the masters at work than just what you would normally get out of watching a curated class later. Not saying that the curated classes aren't great. Those are phenomenal. I'm still going back to the week spent with Joe and pulling nugget after nugget after nugget out of that. But it's the type of thing that you get to live question and ask that you can pull some of the most incredible detail. He was looking at a thing that was a reflection, an orange stripe in the visor, that whenever I was watching him work, I was looking at shadow detail on the jersey or light on the face or whatever. And his eye was trained very specifically somewhere else. And then just being able to see that and okay, unlock. I see he's adjusting the lighting for something specific. It's not just a random, let's move this stuff around and see if we can create something better. So little nugget that one of my highlight moments that's very subtle that I took away from there.
That's awesome, and that's the and that's to your point there, Will. That's why in the the Inner Circle and the VIP, we do those live photo shoots, and where we do it as we're doing. It's hard because, like you said, I mean, a lot of times we try to roll on classes, but we do have to cut it down for content. So, but that's why we do those live classes even in our sessions, because we want those coaching sessions for you guys to be able to ask questions live while we're teaching too, which is really cool. I love that part, is when we're actually teaching and you guys get to kind of like ask questions, and then we can interject it live as we're doing it. So I love that. I love that about this program. So anything else anybody has? Yeah,
Can
Karen,
I
I
say
see.
that I was at the launch, and Erik was texting all of us. There were like 4 of us there, and Erik, I'm like, I got a picture from Erik, and then somebody else was like, Erik just texted me, and Erik is photographing a launch, but yet he has the time to text us. I thought that was amazing. We all did. And it was the same. You're the same, Erik, even at the summit, because I know you helped me with some camera settings, and I just come up to you and say, hey, my camera's doing this, and you take the time to help me work it all out and get the shots I need. So you guys are all
We
like
love
that.
what we're doing. Yeah.
Your whole team is so nice and helpful. And I know, speaking for myself, I don't ever feel like I can't approach you anytime, even if we're not at something. If I want to text you a question, or anybody on the KelbyOne team, you guys are available. So I think that's pretty special.
Well, thanks, Karen. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. And I appreciate all you guys do. So anything else? Any other final comments? All right. Well, thanks for everybody for coming on. Appreciate it. And now I do got to give away some prizes here. So we got some prizes that we're giving away. So what's great about this is we've got your information. You don't need to contact us. So the Platypod grip is going to Henry Stapleton. So Henry's winning this the Platypod grip, and then Gail Pepin is winning the How Do I Do That in Lightroom book. And then Anne Varley is winning the Night Photography book. And then Dave Young has won the Adobe Photoshop Lightroom Classic book. And then Marty Sprague has won the On1 No Noise. So there we go. So we will be sending that right out to you. So don't even worry about contacting us. We already got your information. So there we go. All right, guys. Well, that's the show for today. Next week, we'll be back. Scott will be, I believe, done gallivanting. I will be not remotely gallivanting anymore. And then obviously, Scott, I'm sure, will be sharing some images from Switzerland. I'll probably be sharing some images of planes and stuff in the sky moving fast. So there we go. We'll see you guys next week on the show here on the grid. Thanks.
Come join us at KelbyOneLive.com and build your photography skills online. Training is our expertise. Each of you deserves to master Adobe Lightroom. Learn from the best in the business with over 20 sessions. We are dedicated to making you proficient in Adobe Lightroom. Get a competitive advantage and access the digital library for a full year. It's time to join us.